Alright, so another update, as a few of you have enjoyed seeing my struggles and pain. But today we have gotten yesterday we got the control arm all situated and back on the driver's side. Today we got this support bracket from the dealership, so that's installed. And while I'm at it, I am going to be replacing the brake pads, which are here, which are absolutely garbage and worn down, that I definitely should have known about sooner. And this is the brake caliper, and this is the support bracket holding the pads in place, which the caliper depresses the pads onto the rotor and stops the vehicle. As you can see, this is very rusted, in terrible condition. So yeah, we're going to be getting new ones. So my progress so far has just been getting the caliper off, hanging it up there so it's out of the way, and now I'm going to be removing the bracket here and the rotors, which will probably be a terrible pain because it's all rusted and is going to definitely have difficulty coming off of the hub. Anyways, we'll see how it goes. Alrighty, people. I got the rotor and brake caliper and everything off of there with a lot of coaxing. This is the old one. As you can see, rusted everywhere. These are the old brake pads. Nothing left of the material on there. Rusted to hell. And then this is the new guy. I'm going to clean him off both sides with some brake cleaner. I'm also going to put a little bit of brake cleaner on there just to get rid of any protective grease. But these are the new ones. Alright, boys and girls, this one is going to be more difficult since it's actually not on the car and I don't have a vise on my workbench. But this is the one from the passenger side with the bolt stuck in there and the fucking ball joint stuck in there still. So I've gotten the pads out, and this is the bracket that is on the rotor and hub, and so I don't have any leverage to get this fucking rotor off once I get it off, but we'll see how it goes, eh? Alright guys, so what I actually had to do was reinstall it partially onto the passenger side to get these bolts off here. I just put in the camber bolts, sorry, and to access this nut, this bolt head was getting in the way, so I just flipped it around and stuck it only like, 2/3 of the way in so that I had a clear path for the extension and the breaker bore to fit in there so I could get the leverage. Now it's just a matter of taking that off and then banging this rotor away from the hub. So that's next. This is how a simple fucking thing becomes far more difficult. The bolt snapped. Another one. 2-on-1. Dude, this knuckle is so corroded and rusted. But the bolt snapped off. Now I can't get the bracket off. Damn it. Alright, good evening everybody. So we have another installment of my trials and tribulations with my fucking vehicle, and I'm trying to fix myself. So we have good news and bad news today. The bad news is, I'm going to flip this around here. Okay, so as of yesterday, I snapped off another bolt here. This is the rotor, this is the brake caliper bracket, and this is the knuckle. This is what attaches to the steering column and the camber bracket and the strut here. So I've messed around with this bolt a little bit. I've done some research, and I do not think I will be able to get that out. I'm going to have to invest quite a bit of. I broke this off, and I broke off this. Now, this bolt failed. This bolt was rusted, but that's because there's exposure in the middle here, and so it snapped right in the middle where it is corroded, but the part is good. So the other part is also good. It's actually in better shape than this part. So all we're going to have to do today is we're going to have to, or not today, I'll show you what I'm going to do today, but what I'm going to do on Saturday with my buddy is I just need to get the hub off. The bracket and the rotor can go to hell. The hub is what I need, and all that are these 5 bolts here. Those are your lug nut bolts, and well, they're on the inside, but all I need to do is get this knuckle off here, and then the hub will separate from the rotor. So this wheel, this lack of wheel, is going to stay like this until Saturday, but I'm going to have everything brand new. It's going to go on easy. I'm getting new hardware like bolts and things, so that's going to be super easy. And it was only $200, so that's fine. This guy, everything over here went well. So what I'm going to be doing today, like I showed you yesterday, but I got the brake parts cleaner and stuff that I needed. So I'm going to be putting on this brand new rotor, these brand new brake pads in the old caliper bracket. Yeah, and everything here is working fine. These are the slides, and they have really easy, smooth compression. They're not getting stuck, except for at the bottom, which is good. And so, yeah, those are working. Well, that one's a little frozen up, actually. So, actually, that's actually pretty good. That's fine. Yeah, look at that. That's coming out. That slide's easy. We're happy with that. We're happy with that. At least we're happy with one thing. I got brake parts cleaner. That is like basically it's a non-grease, non-lubricant cleaner, unlike, all the other products you use to clean vehicles. WD-40, obviously. PB Blaster or rust penetrant spray. This stuff is sick. And silicone WD-40 is great for longer lasting lubrication. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. Should go smoothly, but I thought everything was going to go smoothly, and it has not gone smoothly. So, but I think this weekend we're going to get it done. We're going to get everything done. Today's been a long day of work, so it was good. Alright, so what we're going to do now is an extremely technical operation. Extremely technical. But this operation is going to save a lot of heartache in the future, as we have learned on my previous mistakes. So, what we are going to do prior to installing the calipers and the brackets and the brakes and everything is we are going to take our old bolts. These are the caliper bracket bolts, and as you can see, they are in extremely good condition. So, these ones are actually okay, but these guys look good. So, what we're going to do is take a wire brush and get all that rust off. That is going to be key. Alrighty guys, so I've done a pretty decent job. I heated them up with the blowtorch a couple times. They still look pretty jacked up, but we'll see if I can get a couple new ones. But honestly, that's going to do for our purposes. If you go back to the previous video, you're going to see that those look 1,000 times better. So I'm happy with that. Yeah. Soaked them in PB spray, blew them with the blowtorch a couple times, soaked them again, scrubbed away while they were wet, and then dried them off with the torch, and scrubbed them again. Yeah, they look a little jacked up, but they're fine. There's a place where the sun doth shine. All those little divots are corrosion, just little pockets of air getting in there, forming rust. Nothing too technical here, just Give it a bit of a rub down. Get the excess off and give it a nice once over. I'm not using shop towels or lint-free towels, which I probably should be, but that's just because I don't really have much else, and I'm a peasant, so I'm using what I got. That's what you do. Use what you got, where you are, and you're good to go. Now look at that. All that is grease and grime that comes from shipping in the factory. You do not want that heating up and getting between your rotors and your brakes. That's how they fry, they seize, all of that stuff. And you'd think it's from that, but it's not. That doesn't do anything else. It's all from the rotor. Alright, so this is the brake pad bracket with the new pads installed. However, one thing I didn't do last night when I installed them is I put the new clips in. You can see they're nice and shiny and not rusted. However, I need to spray these pads with a little bit of brake cleaner, but also I didn't put on this copper-based anti-seizing paste. Now, there are some different ones. I have one here. This might be zinc. I'm not sure, but this one's silver. I'll show you that in a minute. But with this, I'm going to just put it in these little slides here on all 4 points, as well as on the other bracket when I put the new brakes on. But this is going to help it not get stuck, and it's also going to help it slide. It's also going to help it slide when the pistons apply pressure on the pads that squeeze the rotor. And what'll happen is if it's not there and they get too rusted up, instead of drawing back, these are going to seize onto the rotors, and that's going to cause squeaking. That's going to cause premature wear of the pads, and a bunch of things that you really don't want. So I'm going to put this on. Different manufacturers like different products, but I believe this is a copper-based anti-seizing gel from Subaru, and it came with a very informative Japanese packaging, so that was like real helpful to me. Thank you, Subaru. You rock. So using a paper towel, guys, I applied it. I actually wasn't sure if I was supposed to do it to like the left side, the inside where the pad sits, or on the right side of that metal, like next to the bracket. So I just went ahead and did it on both. But yeah, those are in, lined up. Looks pretty good. Yeah, we're gonna try to put it onto the. We're gonna put the rotor on. I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with some anti-seize, but yeah, I think it looks all right. All right, so now we come to installing the rotor onto the hub. Now, as you can see below me, there's a lot of shit on the ground. That's because I went ahead with a wire brush again and just went around all these areas that are rusty and garbage. They're in pretty actually good condition. They're just rusty. They're on a wheel, and I live in Connecticut. So I just went ahead and cleaned that up a little bit. You can see all the stuff that came off, so I actually got a lot off of there. But what we're going to do now is, before the rotor goes on, I'm going to apply anti-seize paste to this area, just to keep the rotor from sticking to the hub. So if I ever need to take it off again, or next time I change the brakes, it'll be easier to come off, because it was a pain in the ass. I really had to bang it with a hammer and slam it to break it free. So I just want to prevent that for next time. And I want to show you guys, I'm not sure if it is exactly the right one, but I'm using an anti-seize lubricant, and on here, it's tough with the light, but on the back it says anti-seize lubricant that prevents seizing and corrosion of metal parts in temperatures of -5 to 65 degrees up to 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is for very high temperature parts. So that's good. That's I'm not exactly sure the primary ingredient in here, but that's what you want to use if you're using anything to do with wheels, brakes, anything like. Well, you'd never use a lubricant on brakes except for those parts that I showed you, and I used a manufacturer's copper-based lubricant. But this one I'm going to apply here. There's a brush in here. I'm just going to wipe it on and then smear it around with a paper towel. I don't want to put too much on because I don't know exactly if I should do this, but I'm fairly certain I don't. Alright, so I got it on there, pretty nice, somewhat even coat, not too thick, but, just gently brushed it on there. Some of it got on some of these bolts, which is okay. I mean, I don't want it all the way up there, because those are going to be for my lug nuts for my wheel, and I don't want those coming loose, but a little bit's alright, it'll prevent rusting, but not too much lubrication, so that's good. Alrighty, so rotors on, being held on just by this lug nut, well, so that it didn't shift and stayed straight. We got our caliper and our caliper bracket on with our new pads inside. I had to compress the pistons inside the caliper with the old pad and some clamps to squeeze it all the way down so that it had enough space to fit around the two new pads because they're much bigger, so it wasn't really used to that size fitting in there. So I squeezed that all the way down, slipped it over. I was able to get the newly polished bolts in there very easily. And then when I got the caliper lined up, I got these little piston bolts in there very easily. Also, tiny bit of anti-seize. A very small amount of anti-seize on all of these, but I'm happy with it. I'm gonna get the torque specs for all of these bolts, but none of them need too much, and there you have it. When I get the other side done and I turn my car on, I'm just going to do some very light pumps of the brake, very small at first, and gradually getting that brake fluid back in the lines and back into the pistons and to work into the new pads and rotors. But that's it. First new rotor and brake install I've ever done. And I think it went pretty well on this side. On the other side, we all know that went terribly, but we got all new parts coming, so that is all good. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. New brakes, new rotors, new control arm, new brackets, support bracket. Got new sway bar links. That's it for now. All the other side we are going to do, but all those parts are here, ready to go. Just waiting on the new knuckle and caliper bracket. So we're going to do that on Saturday. That's when they're going to be at the shop. But sweet, you guys were here and witnessed it, but I'm very happy with it. This was a good experience, and some people have asked me, I didn't know that you knew how to work on cars or whatever. I don't at all. This is my first big operation, so anybody can do this. It just takes a little bit of time, patience, research, and some help from friends who do know what they're doing. So I will definitely show you guys what happens with the new parts and everything, but just what I was saying, a lot of people have asked me and said to me, "Oh, I didn't know you knew how to work on cars or whatever," but I don't. This is my first major operation. I've done oil changes and the normal wipers and garbage, but this just shows anybody can do this. Anybody with the will to, the time, the patience, even though I'm not patient at all, and a little bit of wherewithal and ability to do some research, and possibly to ask some friends who do know what they're doing. That's been a huge help. But a few dollars, you get the tools you need, you get the parts you need, and you can give yourself the confidence that you can actually fix really anything you need to. There are some things that you need bigger tools and a little bit more know how, but we can all do this. So